Hey, how's it going, guys? So I'm going to finish up from where I left off last video. The reason why I'm doing this because, one, I just kind of want to finish this fence scene real quickly and show you how to create different types of fences. And two, because the last video left off with the issue of the objects just randomly snapping. So I did a little bit of research, not much, pretty simple to find. Basically, is what's going on is if we come down here to the move tool off to the side, go ahead and double click that. Now, under here under the step snap, that's all, folks. Under the step snap, you want to turn that off. So with that off, now we can actually move this freely again. So that's what was going on in the last video. Now that I have this where I want it to be, I actually want to make this thinner. About like that, I'm thinking. So this is going to be the privacy fence. I probably don't want it going through the floor that much. This needs to be brought down. Actually, I think all three of these need to be brought down. I'm going to bring them down to about there. This one I'm just going to bring down to about here. I'm not too terribly worried. For a privacy fence, that's kind of short. Go ahead and make this a little bit taller. Let's go ahead and move it up to right about there. I'm going to take these and move this one up right here where about where the center would be. I'm going to make this one just a little bit taller. We want this to be a real privacy fence. We don't just want it to be something, basic and simple. Actually, before I do that, so what I want to do, we're going to go here to the edge loop tool. We're going to create an edge loop right about here. And we'll create one more right about there. We're actually going to create one here, create two more, one right about there, and one right about there. The reason why I'm doing it this way, because what I want to do is I want to select this edge and not that one. I'm going to select both of these edges right here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. And that is not what I was hoping. Well, that's okay, because what I can do is I can just come up here to vertex and come over here to vertex. I love Maya. I'm going to press Q on the keyboard. The reason why that wasn't working because I still had the edge loop tool selected. So now I'm going to select the vertex in this vertex, or these set of vertices. You can also just select the edge loop, it's fine. I'm going to move this down to about here. So what I want to do is now is I want to click and drag and select it, so that's why I'm selecting both of these vertices. What we want to do is we want to merge the vertices together. To do that, you'll click on this tool right here. This is going to be under Mesh Tools. Edit Mesh. And you're going to come down here to, no, it is not under Edit Mesh. Where would it be? See, this is why I have gotten spoiled having my buttons right up there. It's here somewhere, just like the other tool was a while back in, I think, the first video. But basically, it's just, it's not going to be the merge. I promise you it will not be the merge. It's actually merge vertex. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And I do not know where it is at, so I'm just going to click on this tool real quick. And to make sure this works, if you click and drag up here where it says verts 1, click and drag, it says 2. We're going to press G on the keyboard. That goes back down to 1. We'll do the same thing here, G. We'll do the same thing here, G. So now all those are merged together. If you see that this looks a little too smooth for you, what you can do is you can come up here to the edge loop tool. You can do the same thing you did before, just create a simple edge loop. If you run into this problem, a real simple fix is to click on this, which is the cut face tool. We're going to click on this vert, press enter. Whoa! I was not expecting that. And honestly, this is actually what you should have done, or what I should have done, what I should have shown you to do even on this side. Because we're trying to save the frames here. I'm going to press F on the keyboard so I can zoom in on this. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I don't really want to delete that, so I'm actually going to just hold down Control and deselect those like so. Wait, I did not want to do that. I actually wanted to come up here and deselect that one, and then we can delete those, and then we can go to the cut face tool. So I'm going to click there, click here, press enter. Going to click here, that's not where we wanted it. And if you're wondering, yes, it does matter that these connect on the vertices. Whenever these are imported into Unity, Unity automatically does this to every single quad face. A quad face is like this square right here. I'm just going to face. A quad face would be this right here, where there are 4 edges surrounding. A triangle face is where there's 3 edges. So Unity does this for you automatically. You don't have to worry about that. And you can do the same thing with these right here, where you can just come up here and create, snap them right here. I would highly recommend this, especially if you're making a privacy fence, because you're going to see that the faces are going to start growing exponentially. So you can go ahead and set up your UV texture mapping. If you're wondering, well, what about these right here? It'd be the exact same process that we did before. I'm going to show you a little trick here. So you click on this face, hold down Shift or Control Shift, and double click this face right here. This will actually select all the faces between those two, as you can see. And what we'll do is we'll come in here to UV, we'll go to planar mapping, and just like before, we'll project it from the y-axis. When you go into your, let me just click one of those. When you go into this window right here, you'll see it looks kind of wanky. Actually, these are the ones we need. So it's going to look kind of wanky. I'll show you what we're looking at here real fast. Okay, so you can see that there are 2 edges, a single edge, and 2 edges. If you come here and look at it from the top view, there's 2 edges, a single edge, and 2 edges. So essentially what you'd want to do, let me go ahead and just apply the blend shader to this real quick. Essentially is what you'd want to do is, actually that's pretty close. Not too bad, but I'm going to UV texture editor. I'm going to go ahead and click on UV shell. I'm just going to move these out of the way. So we know the top one right here we'd want to put right about here. Just going to show you how to do this real quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time with it. So if you just try to scale it like this, you're going to look at it and be like, okay, there we go, that looks great in the UV editor. But when you come over here and look at the object, you're going to be like, no, that's not at all what I wanted. It's close, but it doesn't quite work. So is what we need to do is we actually need to come to UV. We need to take these right here. We actually just need to scale these in just a little bit. Probably right about, I'm going to scale it out just a little bit. And the reason why we want to do this is because this face right here is much longer than this face. And so, as you can see by doing so, that now gives it a more realistic look. So that's how you do that. And of course, you do the same thing like we did before with the front and the side. Exact same process. And then from there, you just duplicate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come up here to modify. I'm going to click on freeze transformations. By doing so, you'll realize that all these have just zeroed out. Even the scales have gone back to 1. I'm going to hit Control D. It's doing it again. And I'm going to move this over right here. I just want a slight gap. Probably not that much of a gap. I'm going to move it right about here. So we can see that we translated it 0.922. If you remember in the first video, I was talking about duplicate special. So we're going to go up to Edit. And we're going to come down to Duplicate Special, but we're going to click on this box. Because what we want to do is we actually want to translate it 0.922. Number of copies, we'll just say 20. Why not? The scale, we're going to leave the scale at 1, and we don't want to translate in the z-axis, so just make sure it's all set like this. We'll hit duplicate special to close this window out, and as you can see, it has created 20 copies all the way across. So you can see how that tool can be very useful. If you want an old rustic look, just like before, all you'd have to do is just click on a couple of these, and you just kind of come through here and add some edge loops. For a fence, if you notice, I created above and below. The reason for that is if you click on face, I don't know why it is doing this. If you click on face, you'll notice that it kind of pulls out. It kind of drags out. So whenever you do this, try to keep these close to here as possible. You're going to want to set that's close to it anyways. Create one more right here. I'm going to create one more up here. I'm not going to do anything with the... No, I might do something at the top. I don't know. I'm going to show you a few little things you can do. Actually, edge is fine. So we'll just go ahead and pull this edge out. We'll go ahead and twist it. And then we'll come down here. I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to actually twist this out and pull it just a little bit. And down here, we're going to come down to vertex. And we're just going to twist this just a little bit. Maybe move it just a little. We can do the same thing with this one. We can go ahead and move this out. Give it just a little bit of warping. So... Really? So the end result you should have should be something kind of like this, or pretty similar. If you feel like that there's not enough warpage going on in here, you can always just kind of like come in here and just kind of play around with it a little bit. And now I'll give the fence kind of a rustic look. And we can do the same thing with the top, where we can kind of rotate it just a little bit. You don't want to rotate these too much. You don't want to rotate them too much, but you know, something like that. I'll just move that kind of like so. And that's how you get kind of like an old rustic look, where it's like the fence is just completely dilapidated and falling apart. Okay. If you're wondering, I'm reading the Discord chat as well while I'm doing this, so yeah. So that's how you create a privacy fence. The rest of it you should be able to figure out, you know, as far as how many you need, and, you know, how to set the UVs properly. The UVs are going to be in tutorial 2, and as far as just the general modeling guidelines, it's going to be in tutorial 1. All are going to be underneath this YouTube channel. I'm hoping y'all are subscribed. So to create a little short white picket fence, we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to create a cube. I'm going to scale in something kind of like that. I'm going to scale this in just a little bit, move it up, scale upwards. So move that right there. Now I'm going to show you the extrude tool. So we're going to click on face. We just want this top face right here selected. Nothing else beyond that. So what I want to do is I want to click on this tool right here. This is going to be under, I believe it's Edit Mesh. Yeah, it is under Edit Mesh. I just saw it extrude right here. So you're going to use that tool right there. And we're going to scale up. Or not scale up, but translate up. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit. I'm going to press G on the keyboard to repeat that last action. I'm going to bring this up, scale out just a little bit like so. Press G on the keyboard one more time. And let's go ahead and scale this in. Press the R key again. Let's scale this in. Press G one more time, and this will be the last time we'll scale this in. Maya just loves me today. So that's how you would create something like that. Then after that, we'll do the same thing. Go up here to Modify, Freeze Transformations, Edit. We'll just click on Duplicate Special. This is about the same width as this. If you're thinking to yourself, man, these are just too close together, just just simply start, clicking every other. Let me go with my select tool. Just click every other one and just hit delete. And that's basically how you create a little fence like that. To create a gate, it's real similar. Basically, all I would do is let me go ahead and do this real quick. I'll put a gate just right out here. There we go. So I would just select these objects right here, Control D, and I'll move this right about here. So for these, I actually want to move right here where it's about lined up in the middle of that one. And I'm just going to scale them in like so. So obviously, gates, move this over just, really, Maya? Come on. There we go. Gates have hinges. Hinges are basically just a cylinder. There it is. So it's going to just be a cylinder right about here. Scale this down. Scale it down some more. Right about there. Bring this up right about here. Now, right now you're probably wondering, where'd it go? I'll show you where it went. It's way back there. You got to pull it in Z-axis to put it in position. Let's go ahead and frame in on that. So this is going to be, you could make this as a pin or you can just do it like I'm doing. It's completely up to you. I do need to set this, take a look at this in the, turn on this. You look up here. For video games, you don't need this to be real highly detailed. You can keep this at the detail it's at, or you can do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to change the detail. Come on already. I'm just going to change this from 20 to 10. Face, I'm going to drag and click, like so. So I should have 6 faces selected, as you can see. I'm going to hold down Control and select it from the top. So this way, just the outside faces right there are selected. So as what I'm going to do, come on, I'm going to extrude these. I'm just going to extrude them out like so, where they connect like so. Nothing very special. If you want, you can always come in here. You can go ahead and scale those down. Give them a little bit more of a, I guess, a natural look. I don't know what that'd be considered as. Scale those down. We're going to actually take this and pull this out right about, probably right about there. So now that looks more like a hinge. You can also do the same thing to these faces right here if you want. That's up to you. They're not going to be really noticeable. After we've created our hinge, we're just going to bring this down like so. If you want an actual gate style hinge, is what you can do is you can come here to this tool. We're going to add a couple points like so. We'll come in here to face. And we'll deselect those. So now just these outside faces right here are selected. We'll bring these out. Go to the extrude tool. Bring these out. Probably bring them out just a little bit more. Something like that. Select all these vertices. Move these out. I'm going to click on this. I'm actually going to move this over about like that. So I know you can't see it right now because it's hidden, but if you go to wireframe, you can see exactly what it is. So this would be the first style. You can always just grab these like so. You can just move them out like that. So you can do any number of things to give your hinges a look. And then for this right here, it's basically the same thing. I'm just going to come here, create a cylinder real quick. We'll just rotate it like so. Scale it out. Move that. Let's go and frame in on it. So something like that. What we want to do is come over here. We'll create, actually before we do this, let's go ahead and do the same thing we did with the other. We're going to go ahead and bring this down to 10. And then let's go ahead and come into the edge loop. Click right there. Face. I'm going to click there. Double click here. Press R on the keyboard. We'll go ahead and do an extrude on this just to make it look decent. Really, Maya? So just put that right there. And this would be your latch. So creating the latch, the actual part that, whenever the gate comes in, it latches up like so. It's very similar to this. I guess I'll show you that real quick. I think for this, how do I want to do this? I think we're just going to create a cube. So I'm just going to put a cube right there. Let's go and move it into position, frame in on it. Now we'll scale it in. Whoa, that was too much. We'll scale it right about there, and we'll scale it down. So you're about to see how easy this is. All I'm going to do is I'm going to set one here, 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 and here. Probably didn't need this one, but we're going to work with it anyways. So all I'm going to do is just bring this down right about there. I'm going to take these three. Okay. What's going on right there is it's not set to world. It is set to component under axis orientation. You can fix this by clicking on the move tool. So just click on that arrow. You can select to object or world. I'm going to set it to world because that's what it's always set to since the beginning of time. I'm just going to move this down, and then this one right here, I'm just going to move it like so. This one we can just move back just a little bit, and I think I'm going to leave that one there. So you can always do a Boolean and basically cut these sections out. That's completely up to you. I, on the other hand, I live life on the wild side. So I'm going to put those there. Face. I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to delete the face. You can't see what I just did, but if you go into X-ray mode, you'll see that there is definitely two faces that are missing. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then I'm going to click on this. Click on this. I'm going to pull those back like so. And so what I'm going to do is there's actually two ways you can do this. The way I do it is a little more chaotic. So I don't have these three faces selected, and I don't have these three faces selected. However, I have all the faces selected in between. Right here, this is called Poly Bridge. That is under, I think, Edit Mesh. Yeah, it's under Edit Mesh. So you just click on that. If, say you do this and you see something like this under divisions, just simply change that to a 0, and that'll create a mesh right there. Afterwards, we'll go back to Edge. We'll double click on this edge, and this will select the entire edge hole. And so what we want to do is we want to fill the hole. You're not going to have this icon up here like I do. That is under Mesh right here to fill hole. So we'll double click on this edge. We'll do the same thing. Now basically fill that. So obviously right now it is not lined up. So I'm going to move this back, object mode. I'm going to move this forward till this is about lined up right there. Move forward just a little bit more. And it looks like I got it on first try. Yay! Lastly is what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll bring this down like so. I can go ahead and scale this in just a little bit. So it looks like we're actually going to need one more edge loop. Game design, you will not need something this detailed. I'm just choosing to go this detailed because why not? I want to show you, I want to expose y'all to as much as I can. There we go. So as you can see, that's now a lot smoother. And you can just use a regular cube for the background, for the back face, or you can come down here, come to extrude, like so. You're going to be killing it on the polygonal faces. You don't need anything this detailed. Me, on the other hand, I'm living life on the wild side. Plus, we can always delete edges later on if we need to. So we'll just extract those out. If you're wondering what I just did, I clicked on the extrude and then I immediately pressed R on the keyboard. So that's how you create that. Pretty simple. If you wanted to create it where you can actually see this move, is what we're going to do is we're going to come to face. And we're going to select all these faces, not these back here, just these right here. We're going to click on extract. That should be under mesh. No, it's going to be under edit mesh. It's under mesh tools. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's under edit mesh. I'm like 90% sure on that. Extract right down here towards the bottom where it's under face. So we'll do that. Now you'll see that this is now two different objects. And what we want to do is we want to hit Control D, and we're going to move this one out. We're going to go to face. We're going to select just these faces now, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So I do have it. Okay, good. We'll click on Extract, Object Mode. We'll delete that. Now we have this lovely hole right here. Edge. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a simple poly bridge. And then I'm going to come here. Now you don't want this outside the scene. Really. You don't want this outside the scene. I love Maya 2018. It's full of bugs. Anyways, you don't want this outside the scene. The reason why, because if you look on the back, it's got a hole. It is holy. So is what we want to do, is what I want to do. It doesn't... Oh, yeah. It's because I was looking for the wrong thing. So is what I want to do, is I want to move this kind of close to here. Hit Control D. We'll do it one more time. For this, is what we want to do, is I'm just going to move this up. I'm going to come here to Edge, select that, deselect the top, deselect the bottom. We'll bridge that. So after you've done it, you're like, oh, okay, since I've already freezed the transformations, I'll just move it back to 0. A lot of tools you can do that with. Not all tools you can do that with. And actually, the reason why I didn't even worry about freezing the transformations, because once you do an extract or a poly split or whatever you want to call it, where you actually split the faces off to create two objects, it will automatically freeze those transformations in 3D world space on where that object is located. Sometimes whenever you try to do something like that, you might think, oh, well, I'm just going to freeze the transformations, do whatever I need to do, then I'll move it back. Sometimes Maya automatically sets those transformation values to 0. Easy way of doing that is to just move an object up 1 unit or move it up 4 units or whatever. Do what you need to do. So if we had to, say, split these faces and extract them, we're not going to actually do this, I'm just showing you as an example. So, you might go back here and be like, oh no, I don't know what my units were. Well, because we moved it 4 units up, we know that we can just simply -4 and move it right back into position. So that's how there we go. That's how you would do that. Just something simple to do. So the last thing we're going to do, this part rotates, but it doesn't rotate like this. I love it when Maya does this. So it actually rotates from back here, like so. What we want to do is we want to go to Modify. We want to go to Freeze Transformations. I want to go to Edit, Delete by Type, History. If you're coming into this problem right here, normally what I do is I just duplicate it. Let's see if this one does it. And it does do it, okay. So then the other option you have is to Control G, and this will create a group. So let me go ahead and just move the pivot point. And if you're wondering, I clicked on this icon, the center pivots to the object, and then I can move it. Now, since I have the group selected, this will actually move the way it needs to move. However, anytime you do this, you need to keep in mind, this is group 3, I'm just going to call this latch. So anytime you do this, you can't just click here on the object, because then you'll see, oh, of course now it works. Well, either way, you get the idea. So if you were to import this to Unity and you're using a C# script to make the latch move on a trigger or a collider, I think you could do it through physics, but if you're wanting like a specific animation or a certain thing, that does it by the script, you would basically set the pivot point on your object inside of Unity, to be set at a local pivot point, which in this case would be here, and then you just set everything up through the C# script on when you want it to open or whatever. So that's going to do it for this tutorial. I'm going to keep this one super short. If you have any questions, please ask on Discord, and I shall see y'all later.